Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. I've always had a vivid imagination, but this dream unsettled me. It was wild and dark and weird, even by my standards. So yes, it began with a dream.
Shh, baby. Just another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
Cheer up, handsome. We're here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Gamestrodamus, and welcome to my review of Alan Wake. Yes, after a long wait, the largely hyped psychological horror game from Remedy Studios is finally here. For those of you who are not familiar with Remedy, they are the developers behind the Max Payne series, which is another great series, but Alan Wake is a little step out of what they're used to. But after many delays, I must say the game has come together to be quite a great experience. Now in this game you get to play as Alan Wake, if you couldn't have guessed from the title. Now Alan is a very famous writer, so famous in fact that the town people usually recognize him immediately. Now because you are in a small town, a lot of the town people that you meet throughout the story you will see multiple times as they play pivotal roles as the story unfolds. Now, the whole reason you are in Bright Falls is because you are a famous writer, but over the last couple years you have hit a writer's block and have kind of become depressed. So as a way to help you, your lovely wife Alice has rented a cabin on Cauldron Lake and has brought you here to free your head and hopefully let you write again. Now, this all seems like a lovely little story, but unfortunately nothing goes as planned. So, without giving too much of the storyline away, after a couple of strange events, what is happening is that this darkness is coming into the town and turning people into zombies, pretty much, or possessing them with darkness. So, after a short introduction, the game of Alan Wake pretty much turns into a zombie survival horror game, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I love my good old zombie killing games. So those of you who are familiar with Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark and Silent Hill will be right at home with this. Now this game adds a couple of interesting mechanics to the mix. In order to combat this darkness, you need light. Now the game really focuses on this light and dark counter aspect. In order to destroy the darkness, you need a light source, usually a flashlight, which you can aim at your enemy with the left trigger, and it focuses the beam on them and burns away the darkness. This then makes them vulnerable, and with a trusty sidearm, you can vanquish your foes. This is a pretty fun mechanic as light sources can be pretty scarce throughout the game, and usually Alan is very outnumbered, so it's an interesting balance between trying to keep your foes back and weaken them and also kill them or escape from the situation. So it can be very exciting at times. And because light is your main damaging resource in the game, it can lead to some pretty interesting weapons as, for example, a flare gun all of a sudden becomes a rocket launcher. So you start looking at items that you would normally just pass over in most games, and they all of a sudden become these fun ways to vanquish your foes. Besides using a flashlight and guns, Alan is also able to do a dodge, which becomes increasingly important as the game goes on because you are usually outnumbered and the foes will come at you from all angles. The dodge attack also triggers like a slow motion kind of movie-like little pause slowdown, which becomes pretty cool as the game goes on. Because when the guys are coming at you from all angles and the animations on them are very, very smooth, it leads to like these zombie movie moments where you're just running through the darkness as all these shadowed creatures are chasing after you, which can be very exciting and a lot of fun. Besides adding the cool new light mechanic to the gameplay and having a very solid narrative behind the storyline, the one thing that really makes Alan Wake shine and really sets it above and beyond a lot of the other survival horror games I've played is the atmosphere and the soundtrack that goes with it. Alan Wake really puts you just out in the middle of the forest, and their control on the weather and shadowing and light of things really puts this eerie atmosphere on the gameplay, and is really quite an amazing experience. The atmosphere is very well done, and it really sets the mood for the entire gameplay experience. It really puts you in this dilemma of trying to just stay on the path and venture to your next destination and not venture off into the darkness to find items. But Remedy has another system they've employed, and that is this glow-in-the-dark kind of paint system. As you can see here, these little marks and stuff you'll see every now and then, and they will lead you off into the darkness into like some corner where there's usually like a stockpile of weapons found. So that kind of tempts you to venture off the path. There's a couple other things they added which are great for the backstory. As this whole story is going on, there's this manuscript for the story itself that you keep finding pages of, and these pages will give you foresight into what's going to happen later on in the game to kind of give you a heads up, which is pretty cool. Another thing is that they have a radio station that they have that kind of gives you backstory into other characters and also what's going on in the town. Besides that lovely little radio station, there's also TVs you will find around town that will give you backstory on the actual story, or they will give you side TV shows on other stuff that's going on. One thing you should know about Alan Wake is that this game is really shaped as a movie or like a mini-series. The game is very focused around the center story. There's recaps for all the episodes. And the whole just storytelling and narrative is very rich. That being said, the game is a little short for how long in development it was, and I wish that the weapons and character could have been customized a little bit more. But besides those facts, this game is probably one of the best survival horror games I have ever played, and I highly suggest if you are a fan of those series that you definitely check out this game. Because the game is short, if you happen to play through games quickly, I suggest maybe just renting it for a weekend. But besides that, it is an amazing game. If you like this review, please subscribe and rate and check out my channel. And for all your future news and reviews, please check out Elder-Geek. Take care, everybody.
They call the Sandman, tiptoes to my room every night, and just a sprinkle stardust.